Welcome back to Smok'n Jay's Garage. I am here today with a 2006, it's mostly a 2006. The front half of it is a 2006. This car had a rebuild title, so it's a combination of several different vehicles. I believe mostly 2006 and 2007, but the engine is a 2006, and that's what we're going to change the oil on. Now, if you follow me and if you've watched a number of my videos, I've done oil change videos before. And the reason that we're going to do this one, because every time I get a new vehicle, I typically do film it. Because if you're looking to change your oil, you're probably looking for your vehicle specifically. And hopefully this will help you rather than just a generic, well, I saw how you did it on an F-150. I wonder how I'm going to do it on my Prius. See? So we have a Fram guard today. This is a PH4967. If you're going to use a Fram, that is the filter that you are going to use. If you are going to use another brand, then you're still going to get a small filter similar to this size. What we're going to take off is actually a different filter. You are going to need a 14 millimeter wrench, a box end or a socket. I prefer a box end to open up your oil. Use your words, Jason. Use your words. For your drain plug, you're going to need a 14 millimeter wrench for your drain plug. And you are going to need, if you cannot get it by hand, you're going to need some type of filter wrench. This is my filter wrench, and it is actually too big for this filter. It won't tighten up on this, so I had to do it by hand. I've already gone underneath there, and it was pretty tight. I was able to crack it loose a little bit by hand. So we're going to jump right underneath there, and I'm going to, the engine is small enough that we can actually drop out the filter and the plug at the same time, and they will drain into my pan. So we're going to get right into that. If, however, you have watched enough of my oil change videos, use your words. If you've watched enough of my videos already, then you may not find this particularly interesting, but I want you to stay tuned anyway, because we are going to show you something that we did to the back of this vehicle that I think you're going to be impressed by. So let's get into the car right away. All right, we're under here. To give myself a little bit more room, I lifted it up a little bit with a jack. It is always best practice to use a jack stand if you're going to use a jack. Right here is our drain plug, and right here straight up is our filter. So I am going to loosen up the drain plug right away. We're going to get it draining, and then I'm going to arrange my pan here. I think I can get them both to drain at the same time. So grab yourself a rag, make sure you've got one handy, so that when you take this out, you've got something right away to wipe your hand on, because you're going to need it. I like to pull up my sleeve a little bit too. I like to keep tension on it until it's all the way out. That way I don't spill very much on my hand. Alright, and we're going to go right into the filter here as this is draining over here. I'm going to grab that filter out right away. This one's going to make a mess because that's just what filters do. Alright, there we go. We're going to let that drain, and then we'll be back. Go. Alright, I told you we sneak around to the back of the vehicle and we show you what you did. If you take a look at the trunk here, really, really bad. I don't know if that's all from the sun. I'm not sure what that's from. It's more than just the clear coat, though. But we went ahead in a corner here and we buffed that out. We did some paint correction. We got not quite as good as I was hoping for, but we definitely got a lot of life back into the back of that trunk. The back of this car, I believe, is a 2007, so it's still pretty old, and it's never really been taken care of, even though it is stored in a garage, but it isn't something that is regularly washed or waxed or anything. Definitely a definitive line on where we got it. We got a lot of the gloss to come back out of it. So we're going to end up finishing the rest of this, at least the trunk. I don't know if we're going to do the whole car because the whole car is in pretty bad shape. But I wanted to show you guys that because we're going to do some more videos on some paint correction. So there's an example of how bad it can be. And even though I wasn't able to get it perfect, but we sure did get it a lot better than that. So we're going to head back around to the front of the car, and I'm going to show you a couple of things that you can check while your oil is draining, okay? We did take the oil cap off. I like to just kind of leave it over it to make sure you don't get any dust or anything or dirt in there, although we shouldn't be getting any dirt in there. But that lets the air flow through. It helps the oil to drain better. And this is a good time now to check things like, here's your power steering fluid. There is a minimum and a maximum, both hot and cold. So make sure you know which one you are dealing with, whether your engine or your stuff is hot or whether it's cold or not, because there is a different fill point. We got our windshield washer fluid here. We've got our coolant. Now the lull and the full, is way down there. It's kind of hard to see. It's on the back side. Go ahead and you probably want to check that while your oil is draining, and also your brake fluid. And a brake fluid is low, and we're probably going to put a little power steering, little windshield washer fluid in. So I'm going to tap those things off. Those are something that's good to check while your oil is draining. Also, your tire pressure is a good thing to check too, because you should be doing that every month, but a lot of us typically don't. At least I don't. So oil change is a good time to check all that stuff. I'm going to top some of this stuff off, and then we'll be back when we are ready to put some oil in, put a new filter on. I like to dump a little bit of oil in the filter because this filter goes straight up, and then always get a little bit of oil around your O-ring. Another thing to check, make sure that when you pulled off your other filter, double check that your O-ring stayed attached to your filter and did not stay stuck to the car, because two O-rings on your filter will leak. So make sure that you have the O-ring on the old filter before you put the new one on. All right, we're dripping just a tad bit, but we're not dripping here anymore, so we're gonna go ahead and put our filter in, and then we are going to wipe off whatever spilt so that we don't have a lot of dripping. Sometimes it's hard to find the threads. There we go. You're gonna put this on nice and snug by hand. And then I did double check the O-ring and make sure that it was still on the old filter, which it was. I'm gonna wipe down all of this here where we had some oil. All right. Now when there's just a couple of drips there, you could just sit there for another 10 minutes and let it drip out, but we basically got all of the old oil out, so we're going to go ahead, put the plug in, and then we're going to fill it up. So I'm going to snug that up, and then we're going to head back to the top of the car. Alright, so we're dumping the oil back in. We have the car off of the jack. Always make sure that you have all of your tools and everything out, especially your flashlight and stuff like that. Make sure you don't crush that. This vehicle calls for 4.4 quarts. I have a 5-quart jug here, so we're going to put in almost all of it. Then we'll run it for a minute or two, and we will check it. This vehicle calls for 5W30, and then you can use high mileage or you can use synthetic or whatever you prefer. What do we got here? So we've got 3 quarts left. Nope, we got 2 quarts left. So we need about 1.5 quarts more. Get yourself a funnel if you need it. If you're very good, or just lucky like me, might be able to get it without a funnel. Alright, I think we put in enough oil. We are going to check it. I already wiped the dipstick off one time, so you can see that is our full mark, and we are right there on the full mark. I'm not sure if you can see that with the light. New oil is usually hard to check. So go ahead and just kind of turn it a couple different angles until you see where it is. Pull it out a few times if you have to. It's always a good idea to start and let the car run for a few minutes and then check it again. Make sure that you got enough in it. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. If it was, give it a great big thumbs up. If it was not, give it a thumbs up anyway, because that's helpful to me. If you watch this channel for the first time and you haven't already, and you want to, boom, please subscribe.